And record. Yep, good stuff. Okay, off we go. So first off, thanks to Eoin McNicholl from Glenaln, County Derry, for coming on this evening. Folks, we're very lucky to have Eoin on today. He's a wealth of experience. He's a Glenaln man through and through. So he played senior football with Glenaln, a few years with Derry as well. Can you just make sure you're on mute, guys, if you're not already checked. He's worked for Derry GAA. He's worked for Ulster GAA, both for 2 years each, and he's been with Dunloy senior hurlers for a total of 4 years as well, winning a few county championships and getting close with Ulster as well. So thank you for the questions everybody submitted across the week. We've broke them into themes, myself and Eoin, and we're just going to go through them here now, okay? So if you have any questions there, the same, just put them into the chat feature in Teams on the right-hand side, okay? So, Eoin, you're very welcome, and thanks for your time this hour, okay?
No problem.
So I suppose, Eoin, just before we start off here now, we're going to look at your journey and where you got to where you are. So can you sort of talk to us about your career pathway and how you ended up where you are? I wonder if that's all right.
Yeah. So I'm a strength and conditioning coach for maybe the last 6-7 years, but I suppose throughout my playing career, it kind of led up to that point. I suppose I had a very successful underage playing career. I was lucky enough to be involved in a very talented group of players who won an All-Ireland and an Ulster minor football title. On top of that, we won an All-Ireland in Ulster colleges. And myself was international rules underage player. So I was very lucky in terms of having a good group of fellows around me when I was very young. But my career kind of got cut short through injury, I suppose. I had a chronic injury known as osteitis pubis, which put me out of football for nearly 2 years. And while I've seen a few of the players like Pat Bradley and Gerald Eoins and Rory Convery's progressing on to the Irish senior panels, I was obviously sitting on the sideline watching a lot of this. So that kind of fueled me to think about, why did such an injury happen to me? What I could do then in terms of rehabbing myself, helping rehab myself to the point that and educate myself, not only myself but also maybe other people, other players, other underage players, so that they don't make the same mistakes that I had done. And hopefully, as I educate myself and learn bits and pieces that, that will help blossom into a career of such. So that kind of started off very young, and then I got into sports at school in terms of A-level PE, and then went on to do my degree in sports science at Georgetown. And then that kind of just the pathway opened up. Then once you come out of your university career, you have to, I suppose, look for a job. So then progressed into becoming a fitness instructor, into the personal trainer, and then strength and conditioning, and a lot of these seminars and coaches or workshops and courses you kind of do to add to your CV. And then when I got to a point that I kind of felt had a lot of certificates under my belt, that was the point to really look towards internships and seeking out the people within the top of their game in the strength and conditioning world. So I would have went in different internships to Wales and Scotland and England to try and find out who were the best S&C coaches, what were they doing, what were the practices on a daily basis, in a team environment, an individual environment, any wee kind of nuggets you can find out. And then as my playing career came to an end, then that's where I started to get into the coaching side of things. So I built up maybe about 8 or 10 years of knowledge and just dipping in and out and experience with different athletes. But it wasn't until I finished my playing career with Derry that I really started to get into the coaching scene a bit more. So that's kind of where I'm at today. I've done quite a number of years there with different sports, as you said, 2 or 3 years there with the Derry Hurlers and 2 or 3 years with Dunloy, and mixed bag there, a few championships and a few league finals. And then I had 3 years in a different sport in netball. So I was lucky enough to be the S&C coach for the Northern Ireland netball team for 3 years. So that comprised of 2 European Championships and a World Cup and a Commonwealth Games. So I think it's very good to dip in your hand to different sports as well, and you kind of take wee things away that you can add into your own sports as well. So that's currently where I'm at in terms of my career. And say I'm still very young. I'm only 35 last week. So a lot of S&C coaches probably don't earn their weight in gold until they're maybe in their 40s when they've been it and done it and had a good few years under the belt. So you never stop learning. That's one thing. So that's just currently where I'm at the minute.
Brilliant. I'm just going to turn my video off. I'm still here, but it just means that hopefully the sound will be a bit better. I suppose, Eoin, we ask everybody that comes on to these webinars just about, because we have a lot of coaches online. I suppose, who was the most influential coach in your playing career, and what qualities did they possess? And you can answer that playing wise and work wise.
Well, I suppose from my playing perspective, your first coach is probably going to be some of your family members, your father, your mother, your maybe older brother. So for me, it was my father, and he would have followed my coaching path. He was basically my manager underage, from under 14 right up to minor level, and he kind of paired along with Jared O'Kane's father, Jared Senior. So the two of those fellows were pretty much influential for me, and it was nearly like playing the good cop, bad cop, where my father, he would have been very hard on me, whereas other coaches maybe wouldn't have been so much. So you had the kind of the best of both worlds there. You get a bit of a talking to whenever you needed to at times, then you get the arm around the shoulder from somebody else. But I suppose as I progressed through and into the minor age group, like we had great coaches in terms of Chris Brown, Paddy Crozier, and then we had Dermot McNicholl, Paul Hughes, and Adrian McGuckin through our St. Pat's Maharan school environment. So a lot of those guys were very influential and very good at their own roles. They had defined roles, really. And like Paul Hughes was really a master tactician, and Dermot McNicholl was coming off the bat of a 93 All-Ireland and a great career, and he was really a figure to look up to and a real fitness guru, I suppose, at that time. And then we had Adrian McGuckin, who came in and was a real motivator. So a lot of good fellas there had good roles and were very good at what they were at in terms of my playing career. And I suppose get into my work career, most influential. I've worked with some real good ones. Gregory O'Kane there with Dunloy at the minute. He's very good as well, because it gives you the freedom to go on and do what you need to do in terms of getting the boys into the best physical condition that they can. He says basically just whatever you need to do, you go and do it. So it's that bit of freedom that a coach allows you to do that. John McAvoy, who's over the Derry Hurlers at the minute, is very much the same way inclined. He will basically give you anything you need to do to make the players the best they want to be. So that's great from an S&C perspective that you have that backing to be able to go on and do that. And then just from the other sport environments, both Elaine Rice and Dan Ryan were the two netball coaches I've worked under. Very different, but very good in their own way. Dan Ryan coming from a professional background, who worked in professional netball in Australia for quite a number of years, and he was able to bring that high performance environment. So those are a lot of people who've kind of shaped me into the S&C coach that I kind of would classify myself as today at the minute.
I mean, it's good you sort of touched there just on about given that opportunity of freedom, and that really comes from a certain level of trust in your coaches and your mentors too. Just the last one to finish off in the your journey theme. From when you started, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've taken or came away with?
I would say it's probably been able to set the standards along with your players, rather than having you setting out the standards. You want it to come from the players as well as the management of the coaches. So it's a kind of an approach where everybody comes together, that they want the same goal, and you kind of set the standards together. And basically, as an S&C coach, it's just about facilitating that as best you can. So you're not really trying to lead them. You're not really trying to take the limelight or anything. You're just trying to facilitate them as best you possibly can, to match their goals and exceed them if possible. And just basically, when the time comes, like one of the coaches has said to me, like whenever it comes to that stage, you just have to let the horses run free, and that's basically what you do. Once they take to the pitch in championship day, it's over to them, and you just kind of have to step back and let them do the job.
Perfect. So just into our next set of questions, as you probably know, we had quite a few in strength and conditioning, but they all sort of come under a set of really three questions. So we've compromised them down. So just the first question is, what do you think is the right age to introduce small weights and strength and conditioning to youth players? And can you do most or everything that you need via body weight?
Well, this is actually something that, as part of Ulster GAA, I'm working on at the minute. We're devising like a course called the Athletic Development Course, and it's OCM certified. And we've kind of outlined the different age groups, what they should be doing at each age group. So basically, at the fundamentalist age group, it should be all really body weight, movement, and a fun environment. And the fun environment really stays right through the whole player pathway. It really isn't until probably you're into under 14s, 16s where you're looking at introducing light weights. And we have like a continuum made where you kind of see where you start and where you want to finish. So obviously starting is obviously body weight, and you should progress through the likes of your med balls and your band resistance and like partner resistance work. Then you kind of earn the right to get on to the next stage, so to speak. So you don't just go in and pick up a dumbbell or a barbell. You have to really work up to that phase. And it's not just looking at what equipment you can use. You need to be competent in your movement patterns before you can really move on to moving through that movement pattern with extra weight. So, for example, we could be doing a squat, a lunge, a push, a pull exercise. So athletes would need to be able to be competent in body weight and doing those before they can do it with bands, before they can do it against a partner, before they can do it with a med ball, before they can do it with a kettlebell, with a dumbbell, with a bar. So they really have to work up to that phase where they earn the right to do it. And again, a lot of it comes down to their biological makeup and whether they're ready for it in their training age. So some senior players maybe come to me who haven't lifted a weight before in their life, whereas an under 16 could come to me and he has maybe 2 years training age in an S&C environment, is very competent doing these lifts. So it all depends on where that particular athlete is at in terms of their training age in regards to strength training.
Excellent. No, absolutely. And that's something I personally thought about. As you say, but your biological makeup too is can be as important. It sort of reinforces the idea that every player is an individual. This here was a good one. Owen, if you've any tips, in your opinion, Owen, have you any tips on incorporating fitness work into your GAA session but making it fun at the same time? And this is directed at 10 to 14-year-olds, etc.
10 to 14-year-olds, I would say at that age, again, I'll probably go back to it again, is that you want to make the environment fun. So if it was me, I'd be looking for implementing small-sided games where you can kind of control the environment by the space or the amount of balls you have in the game, or 3v2 or 4v5, or you could make it competitive. So if you're having to do any type of aerobic running, is there some type of relay races that you can do? Because at the ages of 10 to 14, they want to come to training because they enjoy coming to training. You don't want to put them off by not introducing footballs and just doing long, hard slug and run. That's probably what I would do. You introduce small-sided games and just keep it as fun as possible. And then you can control if it's a 2v2 tackling drill. How can you introduce some sort of a bit of crack during training or a bit of competitive edge to it that it takes away the boredom and keeps everybody, excited and motivated.
Perfect answer. Yep, perfect one. And I just say to anybody's listening, if you are looking to do a bit of fitness work and stuff, players do come to play with the ball, whether it be a sliotar, whether it be a football. So the best ways you can incorporate the ball into your session, the better. But as Eoin nail on the head, like small scale games. I mean, they're working harder than they would any structured drill. And then just the last question here, Eoin. This is actually a good one that was sent in. What are the biggest mistakes when it comes to strength and conditioning for people who are just starting out? For example, amateurs.
Biggest mistakes, I would say, probably going too advanced for what your needs are at that specific time. So I would say probably prescribing like a shoe fits all approach to all for a team. So for example, if I was going in with the team and just saying, right, where everybody's doing back squats, or everybody's doing front squats, or everybody's doing overhead squats with the bar plus weight, well, a lot of those players might not be confident in doing it, so you have to make a variation. So that's why a lot of my programs would say would be a squat variation or a deadlift variation, or it'll be varied upon what that player is able to do and what they need to do.
And just on that one, do you think that it's not one of the questions, but just sort of leading on. Do you think at different club level, can the GA coach, can they get a lot of the information they need online, or should they go out and seek someone from a gym or from another team or another county in for a bit of advice? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I suppose the internet is a good place to get a lot of stuff, but again, it can be a lot of misinformation out there as well. So it's deciphering the good from the bad. I know personally for me and my career, I would have searched out the people who have been successful in that area, who has or been S&C coaches with some of the top teams, and then sourcing out those people to see if I could have a conversation or to see if I could have a meetup or do an internship with them, and then really pick their brains on what would be the best thing to do. But I suppose a lot of resources that you can find out there. There's a lot of good books out there. One of the best books in terms of strength and conditioning is a book called Super Training by Mel Siff. That was probably it's classified nearly as the Bible for strength and conditioning, and it's got everything in it. It can be probably a wee bit top heavy in terms of information, but in terms of anybody who's done a sports science degree or is that kind of way, and I think it would be a very good book to start in. On top of that, there'll be a book by Tudor Bampa on periodization, which is also very good. But there's also good websites that do subscription services such as Science for Sport, which I'm a member of, and you get daily research that's sent to you in an email basically, and it's condensed down into readable formats, so you're not reading through journals all the time. So those would be probably my top three for if you're looking for any type of research like that.
Perfect. And just on that tip one, I mean, folks, I asked on there the other week to join us for tonight, and it wasn't even hesitation. It was straight on. So if you do know someone successful in a field you're looking to get into, definitely do reach out and see if you can get near the time. I mean, Eoin was straight on, not the bar to help us out. So, Eoin, thank you. That was brilliant just in the strength conditioning side of things. We had a good few questions just relating to recovery. And who wanted your thoughts on what is the best thing to do for recovery? Is it swimming? Is it massages? Ice baths? What do you think?
I would say that recovery, there wouldn't be one thing that I would do and that's it. I would say it has to be like a multidisciplinary approach where you're looking at a whole lot of things to try and give you the best possible recovery time in terms of going back to training. So I would say if I was putting them into three, I would classify your nutrition and hydration as one of the best. So the best thing you can do nearly straight after training is get some sort of recovery drink into you. So the regeneration process is starting straight away, and then followed by that is your meal. and then hydrating as quick as you can. Probably after that, in terms of recovery, we'll be doing some sort of active recovery or like a stretching session. So a lot of players will do a training session. They might not do anything again until they have to go back for that next training session. So really within that time, they've probably missed out on good potential of time to regenerate their body back to the better standard that they were before that training session. In regards to that, then they're coming to the training session maybe feeling heavy legs, still get lactic acid, still get that crampy feeling. So are they coming to train in the best possible position that they can be to try and run faster, jump higher for their body to become better? So I would say nutrition is one, active recovery is two, and then probably sleep would be my third one. We'd probably underutilise the potential for sleep big time. Especially the growth hormone that's released through your body. It's most of our growth hormone is released at night time when you go to sleep. So if you think you go to bed, the first thing you do, as soon as you get into bed, is probably reach for the phone. You're getting a lot of blue light into your eyes, and it's happened a lot of it's happened to me as well. You find yourself tossing and turning, waking up in the middle of the night. You're getting broken sleep, which leads to broken release of growth hormones. So ideally, try and get to bed and prepare yourself to go to bed. So take a half an hour, 3/4 an hour beforehand, get the phones out of the way, dim the lights, maybe read a book, get your mind to slow down, and then gradually put yourself to sleep. And you'll find that if you can do that on a regular basis, your body will become a lot more susceptible to that sleep, and as a result, release more growth hormone, and you'll recover a lot quicker. But a lot of those other things come in there as well, like the likes of your recovery shorts, your massages, your ice baths. All of those are nice things to do, but those would be probably my three need to do's. So yeah, that's where I would be in terms of recovery. I wouldn't diss out doing any other forms of recovery too. Everything adds up, but it's probably small percentages that you're getting at the end of the day. Try and look after the big things. The little things are the extras.
First class one. You sort of touched on a few of them, but have you any is there any big mistakes when it comes to recovery that you haven't already talked about? About not getting enough sleep. But is there any, if you touch everything, that's perfect. But that's just one of the questions.
Probably the timing. Some people just kind of find the timing. There's different windows of opportunity that you kind of miss out. If, say, for example, if you're doing a heavy weight session and you don't have any protein for a number of, you kind of missed out in that crucial time that the body is starting to break down that protein into the amino acids before then it gets attributed into the muscle to rebuild again. So if you go onto the Ulster GAA website, they have a recovery protocol for after a game. So immediately after the game, they recommend then getting your recovery drink on board, which could be whey protein, then into the ice bath after that. After the ice bath, pull on your compression garments, get your meal straight after the game. At home, you can maybe do a bit of foam rolling or stretching before you go to bed, and then prepare yourself for a good night's sleep. So it's nice just be a protocol that you can see a timeline that you should be doing from end of the game to before you go to bed at night then.
Do you think at club level the cool down is often omitted too much, or is it there's an even more of a importance pushed on it?
Good question. Basically, a lot of the cool downs that happen probably aren't effective at that time. Just to be told, the best time to really do stretching would be maybe at half an hour, 45 minutes after the session, when you've totally relaxed, your heart rate's relaxed, you're out of the cold environment. You're maybe at home, but it's trying to, bring that into the best environment possible. So if it's a wet rainy night, we'll tell the fellas, look, boys, I'm going to send you out a stretching session or a 5 or 10 minute bit of stretching to do at the end of before you go to bed. Or if it's a nice summer evening, you're out in the pitch, we'll spend an extra 10-15 minutes and do some extra static stretching, extra flexibility work, or range of movement, just depends.
Brilliant. So I know that there's a wee bit of a curveball. It wasn't on our list, but it just sort of came to me, and I thought to just find your thoughts. And just the very last one here on recovery. Are protein supplements okay to use? Um, Even though some can be very unregulated, so it's really just around the whole supplements and protein shakes and that kind of thing. If you have any thoughts or opinions.
Like if I was looking for protein supplements and you're not sure about where it's coming, you can, if you're buying it online, the majority of these places you're getting it from, you can request that it's batch tested. So for me, whenever I was playing at a county level, first of all, I had to make sure that my diet was good. There's no point in taking supplements unless your diet is pretty much on point. So if you're eating crap during the day and then expect to take a protein supplement after dinner, you're a good word. You're pissing in the wind. You need to be looking after a good, healthy diet that you're fueling properly before the training session, and then after training session, ideally look for a whey protein. And there's a lot of different proteins out there. There's isolate protein. There's concentrate protein. They're basically broken down forms of different proteins. For me, a whey protein is as good as any. If you're not intolerant to any of those type of things, but again, as I said, it only supplements a good diet, and really you should be looking at say 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. So if you can't get that in during the day, and you find yourself you've no time to do your preparation for food, well then last resort would be your whey protein.
First class. First class.
That's
the recovery slide. Perfect. Now, again, if anybody's any questions throughout, just we've touched on, just put it into the chat feature, okay? One of our last two themes here, folks. So just with working with teams, and you've over 10 years experience. How do you manage the variance standards within a group, and how do you keep everybody motivated as well?
Well, the variance standards at the start of the year, we will do obviously fitness testing. So a lot of the training will be based around the fitness testing results. So say, for example, if we're doing a bit of conditioning work, we will have like basically 3 groups. So we'll have like the really fit group, we'll have probably the lesser fit group, and then we'll have the guys in the middle. So it's kind of, we've banded it into 3 areas, but the guys all know that this is for a reason, that you're recovering, they're getting the right amount of recovery time. So if we're doing, say, whatever meter each type of a run or a drill it is, that the fit group are probably going to get less recovery, because the heart rate's going to come down a wee bit much quicker, whereas the really unfit group will probably need a bit more recovery time. So we'll band the guys into the different the groups, and then it'll create a wee bit of competitiveness, that the guys in the bottom group want to get up into the middle group, the guys in the middle group will want to get up into the top group, and the top group guys are nearly competing against themselves, and they want to stay in that group. And then we'll do the same when it comes to the strength sessions, obviously in the gym. So obviously the strength testing will decide that the stronger guys will stay in a group, the weaker guys maybe stay in a group, and then it creates that wee bit of competitive edge. But it also, for a good reason as well, that you're not, say for example, if you've got a fella who's lifting 150, 160 kgs on a squat, and then you've got a guy who's just out of minors who can barely squat his own body, well then you're offloading and unloading weights all the time, so it takes away a lot of time. So we'll try and keep the guys who are having to take off less weight in the one group, so there's a lot less time wasted. So yeah, that would probably be the main one, is trying to band them into the different groups, and then again, for 2 reasons: recovery times on pitch, and timing in the gym, and then it just creates that wee bit of competitive edge amongst everybody.
Owen, you've had a lot of success with netball, like with netball and different other sports. But in terms of GA, and if we look at Denoy, we have a question sent in, and me and Owen were debating earlier, was this from a Lochgill man or a Cushendall man? But he says he's from Roscommon, so we'll believe him. Briefly, how do you go about planning Denoy's strength and conditioning season, How far off championship do you work off, and is it more so skill rather than strength and conditioning at different times of the year, or how far out?
Well, the first thing we'll do, we'll probably sit down as a management team, and we'll have like a calendar, and we kind of you have rough dates based on the previous year for the championship and for the league. So then we're able to find out, like, well, here's the championship, here's where we need to be. So we'll work specifically on a block of whatever it might be. So it might be tactical work, it might be a lot more games environment and the S&C environment. It might be a lot more reactive strength. We're doing plyometrics, rebounds and jumps, and the runs themselves will be a lot more sprint based. So we'll work back from that, and then work all the way back into pre-season, and we'll show the players as well that this is what we're doing in the various blocks. We'll divide each block into the different types of strength sessions that we're doing, the different types of fitness sessions that we're doing, the different tactical and technical elements they would also be doing, and obviously the other coaches will look after that end, and I'll try and feed into there's different types of fitness and strength that we can do to complement that. But again, from an S&C perspective, that's all you're trying to do is just complement the training. And nothing can prepare hurlers or footballers to win than playing football and hurling. So for me, as a coach, what you want to do is keep your main players on the pitch for the right time of the season. So really, the whole season is built to this pinnacle that you want everybody being available to the coach. There's no good looking to the sideline and you having 4 or 5 of your best players injured. So there's a lot of intervention work that's on throughout the season. But again, with the ultimate goal that you want to win a championship, where you want everybody to be at their absolute peak come that time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we'll outline this all to the players so they know in their heads what's coming, and they know exactly when they're getting the breaks or they're getting their download weeks. And it's very important that too, that they know that this is a specific time that we're going to get a bit of downtime, that I can go on a holiday or I can go on different trips or whatever it might be, that they know there's obviously a lot of give whenever you're a lot of take from the management perspective. You want the players to be there all the time, you want them training the hardest, but also you have to give something back to them, and they like that relationship too. I suppose that it's not all about train and hopefully we win, whereas the management kind of say, right, well, there's a bit of give here as well, and the players respect you for that, and that's basically what we're living off there. There's a good relationship then between the players and the management.
Class one. Don't give all the tips away in case there's an answer man on this call here. And then we're just into our last slide, folks. So we obviously couldn't get away from it just with everything that's happening in the GAA and in the current climate. So Owen, you sort of touched on beforehand, but if we'll just go through it because I know a few people there jumped in late. Do you have any resources in terms of books or videos that you find really useful to use this time to really benefit you?
As I said, the Science for Sport resource online is pretty good, and they give out a lot of information, and there's a lot of information on there to go and do your own kind of background reading. I said there's a couple of books there, Super Training, as well as the periodization book, which is good reading. But I suppose a lot of my kind of online type of reading around would have been a lot of reading would have been done around Louis Simmons's West Side Barbell. So this fella developed the most strongest powerlifters in the world out of his gym. And then a lot of athletes saying, well, if he's doing that for them, what can he give back to other sports? So they've taken his approach and developed like what they call the conjugate system. So if you want to read up or do some online see some online videos on Louis Simmons' West Side Barbell. He's developed what this thing's called the conjugate system, and it's how to taper the intensity alongside the volume to keep your players playing at the optimal level rather than maximal all the time. So if you try and train your body maximally, something's going to happen in terms of an injury. So it's tapering the volume intensity so you're getting optimal output. On top of that, I suppose in the times that we're in at the minute where everybody is inside, they don't have gyms to go to, they don't have equipment. One of the best resources you go to at the minute will be Verkhochansky.com. Verkhochansky was a Russian strength and conditioning coach / scientist back in the 50s, 60s, and didn't have access to a lot of equipment in terms of the Western side had. So a lot of the Westerners had, barbells and plates and all the fancy equipment. And this fella didn't. He was training a lot of Olympic athletes, but didn't have access to a lot of equipment. So he decided he was going to introduce this method called the shock training, which he decided that if I can't load some of my athletes up to put force through the ground using external weight, he decided he could do it by introducing different types of jumps off different heights. So he came up with this method, and it's now known as plyometrics. So one thing that we're doing a lot of within our teams at the minute is our Zoom sessions. So we'll obviously do a lot of the strength endurance type work in terms of the squats and press ups, etc. But where the players are probably going to get the best bang for buck in the middle at the minute is by doing plyometric work. So at the minute we're doing lots of what they call slow short tricks in plyometrics, which is the likes of your box jumps and your stand and broad jumps. And we'll develop that over the next few months into like fast short tricks in plyometrics. We're doing lots of rebounds and depth jumps off boxes, off different heights as well, to make them more reactively fast, more elastic, more powerful in their jumps. So basically, if they become more powerful in the jumps, they become more powerful out of the blocks and the sprinting as well. So that's probably something to look at in terms of online resources. Verkhochansky.com and Science for Sport website.
Class one. What I might do if we get 5 or 10 minutes after the call is just to note a few of the resources down, and then when I'm sending the video out to everybody, I'll attach the resources as well. If you all want, if that sounds good. Even for my own benefit more than anything. Eoin, how do you motivate players in the virtual? We've talked about the Zoom sessions. How do you motivate players in a virtual session, and what do the content of those sessions sort of look like? I know you've touched on it, but if you go in a tad more detail if possible.
Yeah, so obviously the contact time that you have with players is nil at the minute, so we're trying to introduce as many of these Zoom sessions as possible. We've outlined training schedules for them. Everybody has an idea of what they should be doing on their days off. So at the minute, we've got 2 conditioning sessions to do and 2 strength sessions to do, which are broken upper body, lower body. And one of those sessions will be with the team on the Zoom session. The other one for them has to be completed on their own. So they all know what to do. Basically, they're given their session. The only thing we can't do from an S&C perspective is monitor them, look at their technique, making sure they're doing it appropriately. That's the only downfall that we're in. But we also use Strava. So anybody who's not familiar with Strava, it's like the running app or a cycling app. So the guys have to do like different types of runs, different intensities. They wear their smartwatch or their phone with them, and then it records all the data. So we set up a club on Strava, and then we're able to monitor the fellas remotely on how they're getting on with their fitness session. And then just we set different challenges, I suppose, through that. So covers the most amount of which midfielder is able to cover 5K the quickest, or who's doing their shuttle runs the fastest. So different things like that. Obviously helps, and it's not ideal obviously in this environment that we're in, but we're kind of making the best of what we can through the different resources that we can. So Zoom's one of them, we get everybody together, and then Strava is another one, and then we just use like an app to monitor the training load, just make sure that nobody's doing too much of one type of training, which could possibly lead to any type of injuries.
I know a lot of players now are missing the social aspect of going to training and matches, and and seeing other teammates. Do you do much in terms of, like, I know people are sick of hearing them, but like Zoom quizzes or like or team chats or anything on, or is it all around like performance or skill work?
A lot of it is, or well, I'm not sure about the players themselves. More, the management would have a lot of discussions on Zoom. In terms of the team environment, we set up skill challenges. So every week, then we would have a different type of skill challenge, and everybody has to post in their video. And then at the end of the week, I'll maybe put it into some sort of a montage, so there's a kind of rate them out from 1 to 20 or whoever's in the squad. Like. So it is hard in terms of trying to develop that team culture, I suppose. But we just try and do the best we can possible. And I suppose if this thing is going to go on for another month or two, then we'll have to maybe look into the Zoom quizzes and the different types of team bonding things that you can do to try and make sure that players don't drift off and get too scattered with just their sessions online.
And I know, and thank you. And I know these questions are tough, and we can only just go by how we're getting on at the minute. And just the last, we've 2 questions left, and this is the last one for this theme. But how do you? It's a tough one too. How do you plan fitness for the club season now, with no idea of a start date for the league or championship? That's a tough one.
Again, yeah, it really is, because not even the current world leaders are sure when this is going to end. So basically, what we've told the fellas is this is a maintenance time, as well as building on your own weaknesses. So if a fella last year in his skill test was weak on his left side striking or left side kicking, well then that's the goal for him, to try and get that up for the next time we do our fitness testing or our skills testing. So obviously we're trying to guide the guys as much as possible to work on their weaknesses, but also to build some sort of capacity that whenever they do come back, that they're just not starting from scratch again. So the best energy system that we're working on at the minute is just to develop their aerobic capacity for the middle type third players, so your midfielders, half-backs, half-forwards. We're developing a lot of miles in the legs just in their own time, just getting used to doing a wee bit of endurance work, because again, there's no point in doing speed work or a lot of anaerobic work just at the minute, because this thing might not even resolve itself into September, October officially. So look, we just have to do what we can do, get them to work on their weaknesses for one, and just developing a capacity in terms of an energy system of what's going to be best suited to them, and as well as that, a lot of injury prevention. So there's guys there who have chronic injuries that have maybe been going this last maybe couple of months or maybe even years. So it's time to address those type of things whenever you get the chance to.
Excellent on. Folks, we're just in on our last slide and our last question for one. And he's hopefully he's all agrees, and absolutely fantastic tonight. Like, his wealth of knowledge really is exceptional, and I've took a good 3 or 4 things away from it. Just lastly, so everybody can leave in sort of a high and something sort of sticks in their head on, instead of just about the coronavirus. If you, as being a GAA coach and a strength and conditioning coach, if you could give one tip or piece of advice to a GAA coach from a strength and conditioning point of view, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I suppose fundamentally, for me as an S&C coach, you want your players to be able to be playing on the pitch at the most important times of the year. So for me, it's injury prevention. Spend a wee bit more time on the likes of injury prevention, because I can remember from myself, I played maybe 6 or 7 different teams at the same time, and it was just pitch training after pitch training after pitch training, 5-6 times a week. And you expect to play 2 or 3 games. Those days you're maybe doing 2-3 training sessions in the one day. I would say, if it was, say, from a parent's perspective, would be to really look at the training load of your child or your player, or if it's from the player or the coach's perspective, really to maybe start asking a few questions and finding out, how many. I know that wee Jimmy there has playing for X, Y, and Z team, but how many training sessions is he actually doing during that week on top of what he's doing for me? And try and have a wee bit of knowledge or experience to say, well, this guy doesn't need to be training another hard training session after what he's done last night, so we'll get you to do something a bit different, and just make sure that the rest of the players know that as well. So maybe not overtraining your players in the same aspect. And a lot of people ask me, "Oh, can you train 5 times a week?" I would say yes, you can train 5 times a week, but not training the same thing not doing pitch training 5 times a week. So we split our training sessions into upper body gym on a Monday, pitch session lower, or an anaerobic pitch session say on a Tuesday, upper body gym on a Wednesday, lower body maybe aerobic and skill based on a Thursday. So we get that kind of week broken up. And if somebody else has a training session on, well, then you can stop and change things to let that player still be a part of your training session, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be overloaded with too much work.
First class, really first class, Eoin. Guys, that's us for tonight. I'm just gonna head to the PowerPoint. Oh, sorry, there we go. Eoin, thank you very, very much. I don't think that we've any questions in the meeting tab. I think you covered everything. Like, really, really excellent piece of knowledge, and hopefully everybody in the call have took something away from it today. Just again, I know I've said a few times, but thanks, Eoin, for your here today, and then throughout the week as well. Everything was, all the questions were quality coming in, but the answers were even better quality. So thank you very much. I know you've have two Eoins there to look after, two only 3 months old. So listen, we really, really appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully you're like everybody back in the pitch sooner rather than later. And that's really us, folks. If there's no one else, if you wanna hang up, no problem. I want to leave the last word to you. Just
no. I'll just say, as GA coaches, I suppose, never stop learning. For me, I as an ST coach, I'm always learning all the time. So always try and learn a wee bit from different people and different sports and different levels, and try and implement it into your own training. Perfect.
I think that's a great way to leave off, guys. I'll see